Hey guys, welcome to another one of our High Flyer Digital webinars. This time we're talking all about our 2026 $100 million email and SMS master plan. And we're diving into how to plan out your entire year in just about 60 minutes. We're going to be planning out our entire structure, entire plan, strategy, and roadmap in about 60 minutes with you. I'm going to introduce you to something really cool called my email calculator, which is just posted about, and excited to get going. I'm here right now in my office. I got my TV screen behind me. Hopefully everything's going to go okay. My ugly Hanukkah sweater is on from Tipsy Elves. Really amazing to have this holiday season right now for everyone celebrating. Happy holidays to everyone. And I'm excited to get going on this, right? This is going to be one of our biggest webinars to end the year, certainly, but one of the biggest, most attended webinars that we ever do. And the benefit of this type of webinar is that you're planning your strategy with a former VP of retention. So I'm really excited to give you the strategies that the top brands do when they start planning out their year before the holidays. And so you can come back and start the year really strong. So I'm going to go now, make sure we're all live here and we're all set to go. And hopefully nothing will go wrong. Usually I'm in my other studio, but I think we're in a good place right now. So let's get started. Let me move this down here. Okay. There we go. Okay. So our 2026 $100 million email and SMS master plan that will help you win 2026 in minutes. And my goal here is to help you go from scrambling to scaling in 2026. That is my goal. I'm going to help you rethink your email SMS retention program before it's too late. I'm going to give you an intro into our revolutionary AI-powered email ROI calculator. I'm going to give you 4 steps to excel and win email SMS and retention in 2026. I'm going to give you a complete 12-month roadmap that stops the scrambling, and also day-to-day tactics that will keep you on track. All this is important. You know, sometimes we have brands and agencies and teams that talk about high-level strategy, and sometimes there are brands that talk about, high-level tactics. And this is going to be a plan that gives you both at the same time. That's the value of it, right? You have the high-level strategy, high-level tactics, and it's going to be really insightful for you. Who is this for, right? Who are we really trying to talk to here, and who is this going to be a really good fit for? Well, number one, it's for 7 to 8 figure brands struggling to plan for 2026. They constantly are scrambling all the time. They don't know what a plan is. They're thinking about what can I send next or send today. It's for 9 to 10 figure brands who know that there's more potential and more than what they're doing now. They want to level up further. It's for brands who know there's more than what they're doing right now, right? They don't know what they don't know. So they want to be able to get data. They want to be able to get a structure, get a strategy, get a plan, and use it successfully next year. It's for founders and CEOs who have a vision but lack the time to execute. Happens all the time. They have a vision, they have a goal, they don't know where to start. They don't know how to execute on it. And for CMOs who want an actual plan and not just sending stuff. They've just sent stuff all the time. They want to go deeper. That's who this webinar is for. And if you're on it, right, this is perfect for you. So let's talk a little bit about just background, who I am, where I come from. I'm an ex-VP of retention, speaker, author, panelist, and founder. I've worked with over 110 plus e-commerce brands, like all the time, like 7-figure to 10-figure to 9-figure, everything between. Managed member email lists of easily 10, 20 million member lists, all the way down to 10,000 member email lists, right? The strategy is the same. And I wrote the book on it. I worked with, like I said, 110 plus brands. I've been on your side of the table. I think that's the key part. Like we always say in every webinar, I've been on your side of the table. I know the challenges you're going through. I know it's hard to win customers for life and turn them into repeat buyers and making sure that your channel is running at peak performance. All that is super important, right? I'm going to be the guy who's going to tell you how to get them for the whole rest of the year and how to fuel the profitability and predictability of your business and of your channel overall. That's my background a little bit. Again, our award-winning agency is trusted by over 110 plus retailers and brands you know and love, brands you may have heard of, brands you may have some familiarity with. DTC brands and retailers, we happen to have a really strong structure for retailers, but definitely this is the experience we have overall. So a little bit of a story about how I got into planning out our entire year. So I scrambled doing emails for years, and I was burning out my list and burning out myself. We were sending, back when I was a email marketing manager, we were sending anywhere from 5 to 7 to even 10 campaigns a week to our list. And we had no plan beyond that week. We were constantly thinking week to week, how do we send, what do we need to make money from today, as opposed to thinking about monthly or quarterly or annually. And the list got burned out and revenue tanked, right? And our revenue dropped by about 5 million in a given year. And eventually what happened is the bosses had enough and they let go of my boss, and I had to come in and try to solve it. I had to clean up the mess, right? And I realized that it's not, this is what a lot of brands are going through, that they're constantly sending stuff all the time, but they don't have a plan to grow. They don't have a plan about what the end of the year is going to be. They're thinking week to week. How am I making money today? How am I making money this week? How am I making money this month? But not about what is the big long-term impact I have for my business. So when I came in and started leading the team, we had a team of about 5, and then we also hired an agency too. So I know exactly what that's like. I said, we need a high-level strategy that takes us through the year. And I got buy-in from the bosses, from the corporate team. And I also needed, though, eye-level tactics for our team to execute on every single week. And what I did is we locked our team in the room for 2 days, right? Planning it out. What are we doing? What's our goal? What can we be implementing? And we came up with a forecast and a projection. And once we had a projection and knew where we're going, then we have a roadmap. How are we going to get there? What's the fastest way to get there? The easiest way to get there? What's the hardest way to get there, right? And we then focused on the day-to-day execution to hitting that goal, hitting that roadmap. And this is what helped our brand go from $10 million a year in email revenue to $29 million a year in email revenue within 1 year. From 10 million to 29 million, a gain of $19 million. And I love it when a plan comes together, because that's the magic of it. If you have a plan and you need to get there, you need a big picture roadmap, a big picture strategy and goal. You need a roadmap measured in quarters and months, and you need day-to-day execution. So that's what we did. That's what we achieved. Let me show you exactly what I'm looking at here. 1 second. Where's this going? Okay. Your question may be, right, will this master plan work for you, right? That's the big question you may have. Is it going to work for you, or is it just something that, like, it's nice to have, right? It's just nice to know. Well, let's find out. Well, this 10-figure electronics brand, like I talked about, went from $10 million in Q4 to $29 million the very next Q4, right there, right? And that was the benefit of it all. 1 second here, my screen. That was the benefit of this strategy, right? We had a plan to go and grow our numbers by double, right? We ended up tripling it, right, from 10 million to 29 million. So we really scaled it to the next level because of our plan, right? So that's a 10-figure brand. That's a big brand. Not everyone makes $19 million in email and SMS revenue in 1 year, right? That's not typical, but I guarantee you this plan worked for 7-figure, 8-figure, 6-figure. Works for brands all over. There's another brand right here. This brand, 9-figure retailer, went from $47 million a year to $73 million a year in 8 months, right? Same style of plan. We had a roadmap, we had a strategy, and we were able to focus on the levers, which I'm talking about in a second, the levers that are going to help us grow the most. So that was really great. And then this other 7-figure DTC brand went year over year, doubled sales in year 1, but then doubled them again the next year. Because it's not just about a planning for 1 year, it's what is on the roadmap for next year. How can we continue to fuel that growth? What's going to help us get to the next level? So that was a mind-blowing achievement. Year 1, doubled sales. Year 2, doubled it again. God willing, this year in year 3, we're going to double it again and again because we have a new roadmap, and that's the beauty of it. So let's talk a little bit about, now that you know that it works, now that you know it works for 10-figure brands and 7-figure brands and even 6 and 5-figure, of course, obviously you need to have someone to work with. Why do you need to do this, right? What's the point? Like, why do you need to think about it now? What can we anticipate? So I've always found that it's good to go to the data and just have a really quick overview on where are you standing right now in your business. Here's the facts. It's all from McKinsey, Statista, Klaviyo, all these Ernst & Young, all these data sources are providing the data we need to say, is this where, are we trending in the right direction, or are we kind of like winging it every single year? 80% of customers demand connection, but you're simply not delivering it, right? 15% of brands only specialize in personalization and know how to connect with the person behind the inbox and behind the phone. That's not enough. That's a big gap. 80% need it, 15% actually achieve it. So that's why your email ROI is tanking, and you just can't put a finger on why, right? What you're wondering, well, why is my revenue going down, right? Well, why? I'm sending campaigns, I'm sending more campaigns, and experts are telling me to send more emails, which is just terrible advice. I'm sending more. Why am I making less money, right? The reason is you're not connecting with the person behind the inbox. You're just talking at them instead of listening to them, right? That's why I've always said for years, that's the magic behind it. Yet your email costs keep rising every year and your profits aren't, right? Klaviyo's raising their bill. Come February in 2026, they'll probably raise the bill again, right? They can afford to, right? They're seeing brands like you come on board and, paying them for their services. So they're constantly raise prices. So your email costs are rising every year, but your profits are not keeping pace. So what do you resort to? You start blasting out more campaigns that get 0 clicks. You start focusing on hiring agencies that do designs and do copy, kind of the tactic sides, not really getting anything going, just kind of having a better looking email, I guess. And it's a tactic, right? It's not a strategy. And that's why you're not making any money. Your click rates are way down. And you ignore your strategy projections, right? That resolution you had in 2025, right? That we're talking about right now, it's on the table, it's left, you're gone, right? You forgot about it. You're like, you know what? I need to make money in February. So forget the projection, forget the strategy I had. I need to make money as much as possible. So you start hard selling your list and then they tune you out, right? And you forgot all about the projection you made. Most people forget about the projection. I think the stats show mid-February, their resolutions are gone out the door, right? So you miss out because you're scrambling. And that leads to higher unsubscribes and massive spam complaints, right? You're just kind of a lot of complaints and you're just sending mind-numbing emails instead of sending the best possible messages. So you have to run more ads. You got to discount more, increase your ad spend, which obviously trims your profits even more and captures deal hunters and not very loyal buyers, right? But I'm not going to talk about the ad side too much, but your ads are also losing, right? We know that Amazon is increasing spend on Google. ChatGPT now is a player. Customers are now on TikTok more often, so you have to kind of figure that new channel out. So your reliable source of growth is also drying up and it's more expensive to run. And now you're stuck in an unprofitable acquisition hamster wheel. You're just kind of constantly running ads to grow your business. You're focusing on getting an extra sale from a new customer, which is 6 times harder than focusing on gaining an extra sale from your existing customers, which is 6 times easier, right? Stats, not my data. I just pulled the data for you, right? That's just what we're looking at, right? And your costs are going higher and your profits are shrinking. And like I said, it costs 600% more to gain a new buyer than retain one, right? So in 2026, you're thinking to yourself, well, I guess I'll put some fuel on the fire to get more customers. But reality is, why chase new ones when you have them on your list, right? That's a cheaper way to acquire a customer. And those 3 out of 4 new customers you just acquire from ads are one and done, right? So not only did you try to acquire them and try to figure them out, they never stuck. They never stayed around, right? And your email list is left with dormant people that you're trying to get them to buy more. And it was like this in 2025. It's going to be the same status in 2026, guaranteed, until you get a strategy, which I'm about to share with you. And those one and done buyers that you have are actually barely profitable. You gave them free shipping, free returns, rewards, discounts, you spend on ads. So that profit margin is extremely slim and they don't buy again. And because your list is growing with all these one and done buyers, Klaviyo costs go higher too. It's just a bad cycle, right? The result, an unprofitable email list of churning one-time customers. That's what's going to happen to you in 2026 without an email SMS retention plan. It's one thing if you have a plan in place, a real plan, and not just we're to design better emails. Your emails are boring. That's not a plan. That's a tactic, and that's a subjective tactic, right? You're just going to have churning one-time customers on your list, and you have no loyalty to hedge against any macroeconomic challenges. Last year, right? 2025, a lot of macroeconomic challenges out there. Inflation's still, stubbornly there. There's a discussion about recession. There's a new election, tariffs. You don't know what's going to happen in 2026, so you have no way to hedge against it. And if you have no way to hedge against it, you're in for a very rocky year. And worse, according to Harvard Business Review, you won't know about it until it's too late. When customers start churning in January, you won't know about it until August, at which point you're like, oh my God, I have a huge problem. My customers are leaving me. What do I do about it? Well, your problem was back in January. Now you're beyond the point of no return in some cases. And trust me, I've seen some brands go out of business because of this, right? Their customers are not buying again. They don't know what to do. We had a client just, this past month said, you know what, we're doing a great job. We're crushing it. But personally, my business is not very profitable. I'd rather just focus on the Amazon side. That's great. I understand. I get it. Trust me. But you won't know about it until it's too late, right? So that's part of the problems you're going to have. And above all, if you're unprofitable, you're going to be headed for bankruptcy. That's from Retail Dive, right? They're very strict about it. They understand that profits need to fuel your business. So we got rid of the fire and brimstone, right? The terrible side. That's why you need to plan now. That's why you need to focus on your plan and get it going. So if you know that there's a plan, and you probably did this back in 2025, maybe you joined my webinar from last year or the webinar from before, you've always been planning, right? So what went wrong, right? Why is this one different? Let me tell you exactly why your planning is going off the rails and you're not hitting your email, SMS, and retention goals. There's a great book and great, lesson from Simon Sinek, Start With Why, which kind of gives a good overview. And I'm not going to go into this too deep now, but I want to let you focus on what's causing your plan not to get off the ground. Okay. There's a great session, a TED Talk talking all about Start With Why. And when we put it into the perspective of email planning, the why is why are we doing this? What's our goal, right? The goal is in the middle, but what you tend to obsess over is the how and the what. The how is how are we making more money, right? And you're thinking, okay, designing gorgeous emails, I guess. What are we doing? We're sending more emails for you. That's the how and the what, the tactics. What do we need to do? Write better copy. What do we need to do? Design better emails. What do we need to do? Send it a better time. I don't know. But you're not focusing on the why, on the big picture, because you have no clue, no time. And most people think, it's because you asked me to send a campaign. We're just going to send it. So I want you to reverse the order of thinking in your mind when you're starting to plan. Instead of focusing on day-to-day tactics, like write better copy, send prettier emails, let's switch away from Klaviyo because it's too expensive, or add more flows, or segment your list better, all these kind of like tactical things. Start your planning by thinking about the why, the bigger picture, right? Because the tactics are the ones that barely move you to your big annual goals, right? What will move you to your big annual goals is your roadmap. And the day-to-day execution will help you hit those monthly milestones, right? Those pretty emails aren't getting clicks, right? The copy doesn't convert. The Klaviyo is left unused and expensive. And what happens is you're going to continue to scramble every week and give up on your annual resolutions. That's the downside of focusing on tactics. And most brands tend to focus on, in January 2026, I'm just going to make sure I hire someone who's going to give me some prettier emails. That's great. I'm all for that. That's why we get hired too, right? But what will really help you is starting to focus on what is the end objective? Where are we trying to get to? And in your case, in most brands' case, it's to unlock the true revenue potential of your list. See what your potential is. If we should be at $500,000 a year and we're only making $200,000, I need to close that gap. That's your big picture plan, right? So that's what you need to focus on. And that's what we always recommend, to start with the big why, right? Invert your thinking from the what and the how to the why. When you start with your big goal, right? I need to make an extra $500,000 from email. So in order to make that happen, I need to get my click rate from 1% to 3%. And I need to bring my conversion rate from 1.5 to 2%. And I need to take my list from 70,000 to 100,000, right? And I need to add in more campaigns or more flows. And I need a team to execute all for me because I'm doing other things, right? And that will help you hit your goal because you focus on the big picture and work backwards from there, not the other way around, right? You see how that works? Starting with your why is exactly what's going to help you get off the ground and start focusing on strategy first, tactics second. And if you want to know what our why is, right? We say it all the time. Our why we exist is not to be another agency that just sends emails. Anyone could do that. My kid sends emails nowadays, right? They're 12 years old. My 6-year-old's learning how to send an email. Anyone can send an email. Anyone can send a marketing email. The true magic is in whether or not you can know how to build a better customer relationship with the person behind the inbox. That's the secret behind it. That's our why. Everything we do revolves around that mission. How do we do that? Is we connect with customers on a one-to-one level. What do we do is we use their most intimate form of communication, which is email and SMS, right? So that's reversing the order of thinking. 95% of agencies just send your emails and SMS and just send your campaigns out, and you pay them to just send stuff, okay? But the top 1% of agencies focus on a bigger objective. In our case, it's building better customer relationships. I'm going to tell you why that's super important in a second as well. So that's why your planning fails to get off the ground. You're thinking with the what and the how and the tactics, and you're not thinking about the strategy, big picture strategy. And this is 2026 planning. This isn't a Tuesday in March or something, right? We're planning out for the year. We're not planning out for the day or for the week. Those you can focus on your campaigns and your designs and your tweaks and your send time. Let's focus on your big plan. What's your why? That's super important. So in order to empower that and understand what we're planning towards, there's about 4 steps to zero in on. Let's dive into those 4 steps that have helped me turn, I would say about 95% of our brands have grown by about 80% this year, 80% to 200% this year alone, because we have a plan, we have a game plan. And it starts with number 1, 4 steps to zero in on. Step number 1, know your possibilities of your email SMS retention program, okay? I'm gonna share with you in a second my AI-powered email calculator that will uncover and recover every email dollar you're leaving on the table, okay? It's a new initiative, just launched it, already getting a lot of people using it. Emailcalculator.ai, we'll come back to that in a second. But the first step is know what you're working with. What are you working with, right? Where you are now, what's the gap? Is there a gap? Are you doing great, right? Start there. That's step number 1, know the possibilities of your email SMS retention program. Step 2, you want to get a strategy to help you achieve that projection, to bring that projection to life, to realize it. That's part of our playbook, right? Get a strategy that will help you uncover that possibility. Step number 3, you want to get a 12-month plan that implements the strategy, okay? Not the other way around. You don't want to focus on, in order to get my projection, I have to move to OmniSend, or I have to move to Klaviyo, or I have to move to SailThrough. That's the tactic. That's part of your 12-month plan, right? We want to need a strategy first, right? In order to, not the technology, right? I don't need the tool. I need the carpenter. I need someone who knows carpentry in order to help me build the house. He'll take care of the tools, right? I need the strategy first. So that's why it's so important. But you get a 12-month plan that implements the strategy every single month, hits quarterly goals, monthly milestones right there. You can scan the QR code if you want a copy of our 12-month roadmap right there. It's going to be really helpful for you in planning out your strategy after this webinar. And then step number 4 is easy, right? You just execute and excel on the weekly and daily tactics, the campaigns of the month, campaigns of the week, the flows that need tweaks, the design that needs to be created, the copy that's written, right? Some great examples from some of our clients right there, right? Great, execution is going to help you hit your monthly goals and your quarterly goals and monthly milestones overall, and eventually help you hit your projection. So those are the 4 steps you need when planning out your entire year's strategy for 2026. So let's get started. Let's start setting your 2026 goals and milestones right now, right? How should we best plan our year to hit the goals we need? So step number 1, as I just told you, you need a plan. You need to forecast. You need the data. You need to know what you're working with and what you're not working with. So let's get started with auditing your email program using my email calculator. I'm going to share with you exactly how to do it. There's a whole separate video on how to use it as well. If you want, you could DM me and I'll send it over to you. But I want you to go right now. We're going to keep this super interactive. I want you to go right now to emailcalculator.ai. pull it up on a separate tab. Emailcalculator.ai will help you understand how much money exists on your list right now. I'm going to do this live with you using an example of a 7 to 8 figure brand, depending if you count Amazon, a 7 to 8 figure brand that has asked us to audit them and see where the gap is. And we did this about a year ago, and I'll show you exactly the levers we're going to pull to close that gap and what we've done for them already. So I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's share my screen and make sure you can see this. Okay, share my screen right there. I'm going to remove this. Okay, I think you see it right here. Perfect. Sharing my screen. I'm going to go right up here and we'll start here. If I start toggling back and forth, it's because I have one screen right now in my office. I usually have two in my home office, but this is good too. So our AI-powered email calculator uncovers and recovers every email dollar you're leaving on the table, right? So you can see very clearly that this is the tool you need to start creating a projection. And in here is a video you can use to understand how to use it, right? Kind of pre-recorded. And the goal of this is to simply take 30 seconds of your day, enter your store metrics, what you're working with. Number 2, discover your hidden revenue, how much money actually exists on your list. And number 3, you want to get a recovery strategy. How can we get that money, right? What's the gap and how do we get it? How do we recover it? Cool. Everyone following along? Okay, good. Just make sure I'm still sharing my screen. Awesome. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is just go to step number 1. And there's little things here, there's little question marks that help give you some answers about why we asked this information and why it's important. So let's start with your name. And I'm going to use a fake brand right here, myself, and put in the numbers, however, of the brand that asked us to audit them. And I'll share with you exactly the result I got. So I'm going to put in High Flyer Digital right there. Okay. And then I'm going to put in my full name, Isaac Hyman. And then I'm going to put in my email address, isaac@highflyerdigital.com. 1 second. Okay. And then I'm going to put in my website URL. You could just type in www. I'm going to call it High Flyer Digital, just, privacy. And then I'm going to select my job title just so we understand how this calculator works for people like you, right? And if there's a job title here that you'd like to add, shoot us an email. Glad to add it. So the one who asked us was the CMO. And the phone number, I'm going to put in my phone number, 201-292-7959. Okay. Now we put in some of the information we need. Then I'm going to talk about their email list size, right? Their list size is about 100,000 subscribers, and they get about 100,000 monthly site visitors. Super easy numbers so far, right? And actually their AOV is about 100. So we're talking about really good, easy numbers to work with. And then what you want to do is toggle how many campaigns you send a month. In this case, this brand sent actually about 14 campaigns a month right there. So you see right here, email list size 100,000, monthly site visitors 100,000, AOV is 100, and they send about 14 campaigns a month. Okay, let's keep scrolling down. Clearly, as you can see, we're not quite done with the calculator right yet. Right, still a couple more data points to fill in, and gets a little cheeky over here. I hear is smart, not psychic. Feed the machine. Right, you got to continue to tell us more information. And I'm going to do step number 2, right, which is enter your current revenue numbers. So this brand was making $3 million a year from their e-commerce program, for the direct-to-consumer site, selling online, Shopify Direct, not Amazon, not counting Amazon here, not counting marketplaces, just direct-to-consumer. That's the best way to get a clear number on your D2C results from email. And let's fill in the last data point, which is how much money they're making from email right now. They're making in a year $360,000. Okay, what does that tell us? Well, if you want to stick with the statistic that says you should be making 30% of your revenue from email, well, they're making 12% of the revenue from email in a given year, and they should be making 30%. What's the gap? The gap is $540,000 that they're leaving on the table, right? So now we have some, target to hit, right? If we're working with them, we have a target we want to hit for this brand, okay? That's a pretty big target. I think we can hit it, right? But that's not all it does. You want to go down a little bit more, right? Let's go down a little bit more. And now we also can zero in on what does campaigns look like, right? So we look at the campaign revenue and campaign potential for their brand, right? They should have a 50% open rate or a 4% click rate, 2% conversion rate, and based on their AOV, they should be printing $4,000 a month, per campaign. Now, where do we get these metrics from? This is not my metrics. These are from Klaviyo, ListTrack, and I think the other one was Litmus, right? This is where the data is pulled in, and we aggregate the statistics. This is going to be changed quarterly to keep it fresh, right? So let's say the average open rate for campaigns goes up to 55. This calculator will take that into account. So we aggregated it all in, and we see that out of 14 campaigns, they should be generating $56,000 a month. Let's go down to flows and do the same thing. And we looked at the top 4 flows that drive the most revenue for brands: welcome, checkout abandon, cart abandon, and browse abandon. And we said, based on your metrics you provided, you should be seeing $4,800 in welcome series revenue, $20,000 from checkout abandon, $16,000 from cart abandon, and $5,000 from browse abandon. That totals up to $46,000 from your flows that you should be generating overall based on the data you provided. Okay? What's the next logical step? We put them together and we say, this is the number you said you were making now, 360,000. Remember from above, 360,000 divided by 12, 30,000 a month. This is what you should be making now every month from email. Okay? Pretty big gap, $70,000 gap. Right? So you could do this yourself. Go to emailcalculator.ai, start plugging this number in for yourself. But that's not all we do. We also want to make sure we're honest with our attribution, because sometimes you send a campaign and they convert from the campaign, or sometimes you send a campaign, they convert from the flow. So understanding the journey, the conversion journey, will allow you to say, you know what, I should be double dipping. So if we remove the double dipping, again, using about 25 to 30%, deduping, if you will, they're honestly, majority of the revenue should be about $76,000. They should be generating about $76,000 from email. So they're making $30K. They should be generating about $76,000 in honest to God real monthly revenue. Where does that leave us? That leaves them with $46,000 being left on the table every single month. That is a huge amount of revenue that could fuel your entire business. It could take you to the next level, get you more inventory, get you more staff, right? Improve your margins, right? Run more ads, acquire more customers. There's so much you could do with that, right? So $50,000 being left on the table every single month. So what do we do about it? You're going to go down here and you're going to click this button right here, right? Next, how to recover that money. And what's going to happen is it's going to pull you back up to the top of the page, and you have opportunity to see 30,000 right here and 76,000 right here is what you should be making, and you're leaving 46,000 on the table. So step number 1 is you got to find someone to do it for you, right? So we always include this idea of like, is it worth it to hire an agency? Well, if you're hiring an agency that charges $2,000 a month, the ROI is worth it, right? Maybe an agency that charges $15,000 a month, maybe not. ROI is not there, right? So you want to aim for someone to help you unlock that revenue. So that's why we always put in, get a team, right? Work smart, not hard, right? Buy back your time is a great example of saying, you know what? You didn't do it before. What makes you think you're going to unlock it now? Hire someone who's going to help you get there, right? So that's why we put that on top to just verify the ROI for that. But here's really where I want to show you too, right? How can you solve the problem? How can you recover that $56,000? It's not as simple as, well, your emails are boring. Let's design better looking emails. The answer isn't we should write better copy. That's not a strategy, right? We know where we need to close. We have the data, but I need to be able to have a lot more, tactical plan. So within this calculator, you can see that we can pull different levers, right? And maybe, let's go down here for a second. You see this gap, right? Maybe if we decide we need to add more flows, you can say, I have 4 flows in here. Let's say we add a couple more, right? You see that gap closing? And let's say I want to increase my AOV, or I need to be able to increase my AOV here from 100 to 150, right? That gap is now officially closed and you've gained $57,000 back, right? So now there's different levers on this chart you can pull. If I increase the list size to 130, that gap closes even further. If I send one more campaign a month, that gap increases further. That gap is closed even further. So you can use this calculator to pull different levers and close the gap, right? That's strategy. And if you want some more extra help, you click this bottom here and get some of our playbooks to help you achieve just that, right? So this is going to be a super helpful tool for you. And on top of that, what we look at is the compounding effect of all that revenue. So in this case, they made $75,000 this month. It's doubled by one in February, then doubled again in March, then up in April, then on and on and on, up until the annual total is an incremental $908,000 a year. That closes the gap and helps them unlock the true revenue potential of their list. So that's the power of this calculator right here. And obviously the next step is don't do it yourself. Click that button and book a time with me to talk about it, right? We'll figure out a way to get that for you as fast as possible. So you can book a free audit there. That's our email-powered ROI calculator, AI-powered email calculator. So I want to stop the share here and go back to my deck. Let's add this to the stage. Okay, yeah. So that is how you use our calculator to unlock the true revenue potential of your list. Watch the full video. We'll talk you how to go through this. But the point of this is to share with you that starts with data. You need to know what your potential is. You need to know what you're working with. And once you know that, you're in an excellent place, okay? Let's go to the next step in our strategy, right? In planning out our plan, right? Take the next week to get your forecast, get your projection, see how much your revenue actually exists in your list, and take the second week of 2025, whatever's left in 2025, to get a strategy to hit that projection. That's the biggest step number 2, okay? As you know, we have our 10-figure, our billion-dollar email, SMS, and retention strategy, and it focuses more or less on stop just sending emails and obsessing over sending the next campaign, which again, I've seen agencies focus on just, I'm gonna send 3-4 campaigns a month, right? A week, and try to drive the revenue for this brand. 4 campaigns a week, this better than that. We could think better than that, right? Especially if your flows are running. You don't need 10 emails coming to a customer every single week. That's not the way to approach it. I'd rather you approach it by building a better customer relationship. So this is the strategy we use. And it's not just me saying that this is the future. This is Klaviyo also saying that this is the future, right? Their mission, they joined our mission and our movement and started saying, let's build better customer relationships. That's not me, right? That's them. They saw the writing on the wall. They saw that it's all about the customer, and having more customers that have a relationship with you will do a lot better for their program and for your business. So you want to focus on building that better customer relationship. Our strategy comes down to 4 key pillars, right? Segmentation, personalization, automation, and multiplication. And that it really, if you kind of transcribe it a little bit for the layman, it's about right person, right message, right time, repeat. Right person, right message, right time, repeat. You want to send the right person or find the right person, send them the right message at the right time in their buying cycle, and repeat it as often as possible for different products, channels, or cohorts. That is how our 10-figure strategy works. It's 4 simple steps to understand, but most don't even do that. They excel maybe in segmentation, and then they leave the rest behind. But it goes beyond just what it does. It's what is the outcome of it, right? Segmentation is there to help you save money. If I can get you to send to 20% of your list, that makes 8% of your revenue. That brings your Klaviyo cost down. So that brings your OmniSend cost down. If I could use personalization to double your clicks and your conversions, that will make you money. Automation, obviously, it's running 24/7, 365. That reduces your reliance on day-to-day campaigns, which saves you time. And then finally, multiplication is where you can actually scale your brand to the next level. And that will introduce new channels, new tactics, new apps, new vendors, new ways of thinking about your flows. That's the multiplication side of this strategy right there. That is our billion-dollar strategy. So step number one, you know what you're working with. You know your forecast, you know your projection. Step number 2, you get your strategy. Let's talk about step number 3 now. This is a little bit bigger, right? Now that you know what your projection is, you know what your strategy is. Now we have to build out a 12-month plan that help us hit that with quarterly goals and monthly milestones. So for 2026, there's a lot of quarterly goals we need to focus on. And I found for email, SMS, or retention, the best goals to focus on are grouped, right? We group them all together. And I group them by quarters. In Q1, your main goal is your foundation. Get your foundation on, know your customer data, get your reporting correct, get your analytics set up, get your tech and the tools lined up and ready. and understand your list potential. That's the foundation. Then in Q2, we focus on testing. How can we maximize the potential of our campaigns, of our flows, our offers, and our technology? How do we test what exactly is working for it? And how do we maximize the potential of what we already have? Step number Q3 is all about refining. You've identified the gaps. You know that you have to close the gaps, and you're ready to double down on your top performers. That's Q3. And then finally, Q4 is about scaling. Time to turn the faucet on. It's holiday planning. We want to, bring as many new customers or new visitors to our site as possible, because our foundation and our structure is perfected. We've perfected it over the past 3 quarters. Now we just need to get more people there. So that is our quarterly goals here when you're thinking about planning. Now I'm going to go into the month-to-month plan. And if you look at it from the quarterly perspective, right, you take it from your runway at the beginning of the year, or right now, and you take it to cruise control, right? You start with your foundation, get the plane up and ready, do your checklist, make sure everything's running correctly. You're starting to taxi to the runway with your testing, making sure it's all going correctly and you're set to fly. You refine it by speeding up, you accelerating a little bit, and you're getting everyone, buckled in, and everyone's kind of know exactly what to expect. And you're refining your processes and starting to launch. And then Q4 is scaling, where you're starting to say, you know what, we're just on cruise control now because we just need people there. Our structure is totally solid. So that's how we look at it, especially from High Flyer. That's our name of the brand, right? The name of our agency. And it works. Like I showed you before, this 8-figure retailer went from $112,000 a month to $354,000 a month in 90 days because they had a plan. They had a roadmap that even if they didn't use it for the full year yet, it still works every month. So having a game plan, in this case, this brand actually had a problem with their flows in month 1. And once we fixed their flows in month 1, when they came on board, we set our eyes to month 2, which was testing. We created a custom roadmap for them, and we want to focus on testing. When we test our campaigns and flows, guess what? Little incremental changes help them get to the next level. Step 3 was that we added some more initiatives too on our roadmap that helped them accelerate even further. That's why they tripled revenue in just 90 days. So let's get down to the actual steps in our roadmap. Remember, step number 1 was get your forecast, get your projection, make sure you know what you're working with, how much your list potential is worth. Step number 2, you get your strategy, right? You get your, stop just focusing on sending you the next email, next campaign, every week-to-week mindset, day-to-day mindset. Focus on an annual mindset. And now step 3 is our roadmap broken down by quarters. So Q1 2026, you want to build your foundation for email, SMS, and retention success, right? It's like building a house, right? You got to get that foundation set first. So step number 1, I just did that slide. Sorry, let me move over. Step number 1, plan out your annual campaigns, right? There's no reason why you can't create an annual campaign plan right now. And the reason you can is because you know what worked last year. You know what didn't work last year. I have seen, I've come into brands where their agencies had come up with a new plan every single month, totally reinventing the wheel. And some months were home runs and some months were singles. To be honest, a lot of the months were singles and a lot of them were just struck out, right? Just bad goals. And you can't afford that. You can't afford those swings, right? It's unpredictable and unprofitable. But if you look back right now into your whole year and say, what were our best campaigns of every single month? You can pretty much get your campaign plan down, 75% of it down, right? It means less winging it and more proven winners. You focus on your winning campaigns of the month. Put them onto your calendar now. Put in your holidays. What's going on? Martin Luther King, President's Day, Labor Day, July 4th, kind of pre-plan it. Then you add in your evergreen campaigns, the campaigns you know are always going to work. They never get stale. Let's say a content plan or reviews of the month or bestsellers of the month or new arrivals, right? You're always going to have something that's what we call evergreen. It's always green. It's always going to work. And then after that, after you've gotten 75% of your calendar locked in and proven, then you add in new ideas like, an education email or a content email or a new blog that came up, or I want to try this new initiative or get people to download my app. Or you start by building proven calendars first, layer in your new things you want to try after it. Otherwise, if you're constantly reinventing the wheel, you're going to get nowhere. So plan out your annual campaigns, number one. Month two, get a single source of truth for your data. When we audit brands, we're always asking them, where do you pull your information from? What are you using to make your decisions for your business? Most of the time they say, oh, I just use Shopify. Okay. Well, we're looking at Klaviyo. So what do you know, if I'm going to report on Klaviyo, right? Okay, that's fine. We'll look at Klaviyo too. Well, by the way, there's also Google Analytics because I also want to just get a sense of your ad spend there and what's going on in direct traffic and organic traffic. Okay, we'll look there too. That's 3 different sources of reporting, 3 different attribution models, clueless. You don't have a single source of truth. Get your single source of truth so you can make data-driven decisions a lot better. Build dashboards that are smart, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, results, and time-bound. I think there's results-oriented, time-bound. I always forget the R with my team. I joke with my team. I always forget the R in the SMART goals, but it aligns everyone. And you want to think about the flywheel, not just the channel, because if I reported on Klaviyo all the time, that makes me look good, right? Everything is green all the time within our accounts for the most part. But, you know, I also need to be respectful of how is your ads doing? Because if your ads aren't doing well, I need to, you know, our emails acquisition may not be doing well. Our pop-ups may not do well. Our welcome may not do well. And that's critical to know. So I want to see a full dashboard. And so you as a brand should come up with that single source of truth that you and all your agencies and really all your team aligns on completely. That's goal number 2, right? That should be month 2. It's not something you do overnight. It's not something you switch, right? But spend the month getting it right. And it's going to be super important later on too. Month 3, now that you have your dashboard and you've kind of taken care of your campaigns, right? Now you set up your retention goals, right? And the goal here is to say, are we tracking our customers' migrations, right? Are we understanding who's a new subscriber and how long it takes them to go from new subscriber to new customer, and how long it takes to go from a new customer to a repeat customer, and then a repeat customer to a loyalist or a VIP or whatever you want to call it? Are we tracking that? Are we tracking when they churn, when they unsubscribe, when they're becoming risk of churn, when they're dormant, when they're totally inactive, right? Are we tracking all that? Track that. Super important to understand because, like we said earlier, right? It's a lot easier for you to get an extra sale from your existing list than it is to get a sale from a new customer. 6 times easier. So you understand where the gaps are, you'll be able to plan for that. So, and you want to build a flow and journey plan for those customers too, right? If you know that customers are about to churn at the 3-month period, well, make sure you have a good plan at month 2 to keep them with you, right? That's kind of how you build out a flow and journey plan. That's, again, super important to get that foundation set because in month 4, 5, 6, we're going to start building on the data we learned here. So that's foundation. So that's month 3. Set your retention goals. That is Q1, foundation, really important because Q2 is testing and learning. Now that we know what you want to achieve, now that you have the data to make some decisions, now is when we want to test and learn to actually get there, right? That's Q2. Let's get started. So in Q2, I found that in month 4, one of the best things a brand can do is to implement a testing roadmap. If I've worked with a brand for about a year or 2, which we have, most of our brands are probably with us for about well over 3-4 years. We have a great retention rate. And I think it's because we create a new roadmap all the time. In month 1, we do a testing roadmap because we've already built the foundation already, right? But if you're just starting out and you're saying 2026 is going to be the year of change, then implement a testing roadmap. And it's a lot harder than you think because you got to get everyone on board. So you got to have a testing mindset, right? You got to change everyone on board to be like, you know what? I know that campaign looks good. And I know your copy you wrote was excellent. I know it's really good looking email. But you know what? I'd like to test against a plain text email. I'd like to test against a shorter version of that email. No ego here. We're learning together. So that testing mindset is super important. If you don't have an agency or a team that has that same testing mindset, you may need to kind of look somewhere else. You may need to kind of get someone who's on board with that mindset. I'm super on board with that mindset. We're always testing and learning. Build and commit to a testing plan, and it needs to be a real test with SMART goals. And don't just think about a subject line test. You got to make it really actionable, right? If you're going to test a subject line on President's Week, make sure you can use that same logic and that same test for Labor Day, right? Or for Black Friday. Learn from it that you can use in perpetuity, not just for that day, right? Super important to have that mindset there. That we have a whole document on that. You can always DM me and we can get that over to you. Great example of a testing mindset. And I'll go into this very briefly. We used to run a campaign for a brand where, they had a flash sale on electronics. They were used to send 617,000 emails and they generated $109,000 from the creative on the left, right? And not bad, pretty good. You can go sleep well that night, right? What we did, we came in, introduced a testing variation of the creatives, right? One segment, one personalized creative, right? If you're a Canon buyer, you get Canon cameras in your creatives. If you're an Apple buyer, you get Apple in your creatives. If you're a lens buyer, you get lenses in your creatives. We sent it out, and because it deduped the segments, right? Some people could be in both segments. It actually only sent to 288,000 emails, half the list. Yet it generated almost double the revenue, right? And that's our mentality. It's about fewer sends, more impact. 288,000 emails sent, $180,000 generated just from having a testing mindset. They would never have thought that way, right? They never have been like, oh, well, that's interesting. I never would have thought that, right? It's harder to do. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little harder. You got to get your designers on board. You got to get buy-in from the team. But when you have that testing mindset, you make more. And that's our mindset at all times. Month 5, upgrade your automations, right? Upgrade your flows, right? Small incremental wins in your flows mean huge dollars in the long run, right? Go way beyond the out-of-box flows. You see right here, the basic abandoned funnel that most brands have within Klaviyo or OmniSend. We have a $1 billion abandoned funnel where we understand all the abandoned points of your brand, multiple places for us to recover. And guess what? That's how our brands are making 80% to 200% more revenue every single year, because we understand where the abandoned points are and how to solve them and how to close them. And on top of that, how to help brands think about how can I improve the experience in the first place so my abandoned funnels don't have to run, right? I'd rather them not abandon in the first place, but I'm recovering them if they do. We optimize the 80-20 of your flows. That's the goal of it, to optimize the flows that mean the biggest impact. And use your data from Q1 to focus your plan. Remember we talked about if you understand your customers are leaving in month 3, well, start building the flow that will recover them in month 2, right? You see how that's so important to get that foundation first, and then the tactical things second, right? And then the testing, and then the improvements and enhancements, so important. That's month 5, upgrade your automations. Another great example is sometimes you have more of a email siloed approach where send a card abandoned email, then card abandoned email 2, then card abandoned email 3, then card abandoned email 10, right? Insane. Focus on an omni-channel, multi-channel approach. Great way to upgrade it. SMS, layer an SMS in there. Layer in Facebook and Meta ads after email and SMS goes first. It's cheaper that way. Maybe have customer service call if you have a high AOV product, right? We're not talking about a $10 item. We're talking about a $1,000 item. Customer service, pick up the phone and call them. You'd be surprised. Try it out, right? Upgrade your flows. That is month 5. Month 6, similar thing. Focus on your product triggers, right? Sometimes you have to build flows around your products. We're very customer-centric at our agency, but we understand that sometimes you need even better focus on replenishment, bigger focus on back in stock, low in stock, right? Out of stock, flash sales, product-centered emails are great also. And now you have the right data to make that, right? Get the right data for your products too, not the most. I've looked into brands' data dictionary, especially their product catalog and their customer data. They're using maybe 5 out of 300 data points available for your customers and your product. That's not enough. There's so much opportunity in your product catalog and in your customer data to build flows around, right? Great example. If I have yet to see a brand that has an excellent rewards automation running that reminds them of rewards that they can run in Klaviyo or OmniSend. I haven't seen it. We build it for them because they don't realize we can do this, right? There's so many different things we could be running. And when you focus on product triggers, that's a great example of it. That's month 6, right? So Q2, month 4, 5, and 6 are focused on testing, learning, want to make sure that you implementing new ideas and new tactics and new flows because of the data you learned in Q1. Let's talk about Q3. Now, again, we're building a house. Q1 was the foundation. Q2, we're building it up, right? Making sure we're testing the woods and making sure what our structure looks like and building the foundation. Now in Q3, we're finally decorating the house, right? Now we can afford to refine and invest. We've identified our gaps. We know where our what we've tested and what will work better. We know what new initiatives we can add in, what new apps we can layer up. All these things, focus on the winners, double down on what works, and sunset what doesn't. That's why month 7 is usually when we recommend to invest in tools, tech, and apps, right? At this point, if your technologies are not working at peak performance, get rid of them, replace them with someone else, right? Why now? Because you don't want to wait for Q4. That's not the right time to do it. Do it now when you have the data to back you up, you've tested it, kicked the tires on it, and now you make a decision. You got to say it's working or not, right? Tons of additive and new tech and apps. And that's why it's so important for us as we focus on building better customer relationships. We're of the mindset that says, yeah, we do email and SMS for brands, but I understand that if you as a brand have a better tool and app that will help me build a better customer relationship with your list, that's going to be great. A great example of this is Because, right? Because is a great app that has a conversion layer on top of your site that has no coding. Don't want to get geek out here, but there's a lot of technology that they can use to improve conversion. Well, if my emails can convert a little bit better, why not? That's a win-win for everyone. Or let's say I don't have a way of, I could do email, I could do SMS with Klaviyo, but let's say I need something to mail postcards. Well, maybe there's Pebble Post or another tool out there that you can layer in that will help you keep your customers long-term, right? So there's lots of different tech and apps to layer in and actually adopt the tech, right? Don't just say like, oh yeah, I want to do AI and I have all this technology I want to add in and I'm going to get all these 10 cool new apps that my mastermind recommended I do, but you never adopt it. I guarantee you there's a lot of technology you're not adopting right now, and you should be. So you need to be able to adopt the technology you bring in, focus on maximizing its potential and avoiding shiny new object syndrome. That's month 7, invest in tools, tech, and apps. Month 8, great time to utilize AI and predictive, right? Again, you're basing it all on the data you have from Q1. And now you're saying, okay, that got us to level 2 or 3. I want to get to level 8 because I need to hit my goals for the year, right? So in order to hit my goals for the year, maybe I need to layer in AI and predictive. And that helps you advance to the next level, especially your segmentation and personalization. If you enhance your customer experience and you have predictive and machine learning, that's a great way to add in more things to your overall email program. It's all incremental too, right? That's the beauty of it. If you have predictive and machine learning, that will get you to the next level. So utilize that AI predictive and you will be in an excellent spot. And month 9 is all about list growth and hygiene, where now it's like, we've already built the foundation. We know our data. We know where our gaps are. So I need to build the list or I need to clean the list, right? List growth and hygiene is really important. And this is where you take your funnel approach of getting customers in the door. Hopefully they're buying or not. And you go from funnel to flywheel. Now is when you're communicating with your ads team or your SEO team. And everyone is getting ready for Q4. We're getting the best list possible, not the most subscribers, the best list, right? And you're building journeys, not just flows, not just turning on a flow here, a flow there. You're building journeys for your customers overall. That's month 9, list growth and hygiene. So you can see it's a lot easier now to plan out Q3 when you've done the foundation and you have the testing done. You know it's worked, you know it hasn't worked, you know the data to back you up and make some data-driven decisions. Q3 is a lot easier now to execute. And now finally in Q4 2026, it's all about scaling and succeeding. You want to just turn on the faucet, right? Everything is working well. Your foundation is built. You've tested your offers, your campaigns, your flows. You know everything is running at peak performance. You've closed the gaps with new apps and technologies in Q3. Now you just turn the faucet on. It's a lot easier. I'm going to breeze through this just to make sure we save some time because it's a lot easier to understand, right? Holiday planning. Plan out your holidays, right? To win Q4, not just Black Friday, right? 3 strategies that we use all the time. You could go back to our webinar from Q4, re-engage the list, drive revenue, and a goal to get more repeat buyers, and start scaling everything, right? Take month 10 to start scaling to the next level, focus on holiday planning and all that. Month 11 is our Black Friday Cyber Monday War Room. Oh, hold on one second. Let me make sure we have a little bit of glitch here. 1 second. Okay, so month 11 is our Black Friday War Room right here. Sorry, there's a little bit of a glitch there. And that's what you plan out for that War Room side. And then finally, month 12 is what you're doing right now, 2027 planning. And you set your goals for 2027 and you do a postmortem for everyone and really get everyone bought in. That's the plan of it. Annual business review, state of the business, data-driven decisions to help you get to where you are. And that's what you're doing right here on this webinar. And finally, step 4 should be a lot easier, right? Focusing on the daily and weekly tactics overall. You take daily actions to hit your goals, and you make sure that your daily actions will move you forward to those goals. And the questions you should be asking are, is your tech ready for your roadmap? Are you ready to get it going? Is you're using Klaviyo enough? Are you using too much tech, too little tech? Are they all communicating? Do you have all the data you need, right? That's all the questions you should be asking right now within your technology, right? Is your tech ready to handle your roadmap, to handle your goals? You're paying Klaviyo for Ferrari features, but most likely using it like a Toyota. You're not using enough, right? I've seen, this is one of the biggest slides because you're just not using it well enough. And it's leaving a lot of money on the table. And the next part is you want to ask after your technology is, can you actually implement this strategy, right? Do you have the team in place? Are your campaigns personalized? Is there a plan to keep your Klaviyo costs down? Do you have a flow roadmap? All these things are focused on executing the strategy you have in place and using your email ROI calculator, right? What levers can you pull to hit the goal? Do I have to get my click rate up, my conversion rate up, grow my list size, grow my open rates, right? Do I have to shrink churn? All that is understanding what levers to pull on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. And the most important also, do you have a team to execute on this? Can you actually execute on these goals? Or are you just sending emails all day, right? That's the plan you should be thinking about. Could they be doing more? Do they not have the language? Do they have the understanding? I talked about some of the master plan results already. To save time, I'm going to skip some of these and go through it really quickly. Obviously, 8-figure brand went from $107,000 a month, making 6% of the total revenue from their email program. They were seeing a massive decrease in their revenue, right? They were $35,000 a month. And using our strategy, we got them to $200,000 a month in revenue because we had a plan, right? We added in more channels. We had a roadmap. We had a vision. We ran their data through our AI calculator. It wasn't AI then. It was just our main email calculator. We ran the data through there, and we saw they should be making a lot more, $200,000 a month. And we unlocked that potential because we had the plan from $35,000 a month to $200,000 a month. The 10-figure electronics brand I told you about, $10 million to $29 million in 1 year because we had this master plan. The 9-figure retailer from $47 million a month to $73 million a month in just 8 months because we had a plan, right? We got the plan going. The tactics came after the plan and after the strategy and after the roadmap. And lots of different case studies. Again, to save time, I'm not going to go through everything here, but that's why we're trusted by over 110 plus retailers and brands. So why won't you hit those goals? What is stopping you from hitting those goals? Pretty much, it's not your fault. You've just been listening to the wrong people. Most of the time, you're listening to Joe email marketer or someone who just makes everything about emails, or just someone who understands copy, someone just understands design, and they're not helping you hit that big picture goal you need to hit, right? You're listening to tactics, not strategy. You're talking at customers instead of listening. You're manual and you should be automated. You're focused on acquisition instead of retention, right? All those are important. They're important, but they're not the main point of it. And you're thinking at a 6-figure level instead of a 10-figure level with a plan, with a strategy, a roadmap, and then the tactics will come with it, right? And you want to think at a larger picture because that's where your competitors are. And that's why our clients are saying, email marketers I hired never got the foundation down until you came along. Or I found a freelancer on Upwork and quickly realized I was wasting a ton of time. Or agencies would burn my list, experiment on my list, and I couldn't afford that. It's a different structure to have. So let's just do a quick recap, right? I've shared why brands need a master plan 2026. I've revealed why brands are constantly scrambling instead of scaling every year. I've shown the 4 steps, high-level strategy to eye-level tactics you need to take your program to the next level. And I've highlighted the 7-figure and 10-figure results you can expect when you actually do this. So let's get to the last part is now we're going to give you our entire master plan all done for you. That's what we excel in. I'm confident you can hit easily $100,000 to $1 million in new revenue in 2026, all done for you. What we're going to do for you is our free audit a 200-point email SMS retention audit using our email ROI calculator. We have a free audit valued about $1,000. Audit all your Klaviyo, audit all your list growth, apps, metrics, customer data, flows, campaign teardown, and of course, our email ROI calculator, which will reveal the revenue gap on your list. I invite you to go try it out, but we'll also do it together. And I probably have some more additional tips for you to look at there. That is the numbers that will reveal the gap we want to close. Bonus number 2, I'm going to give you my billion-dollar email SMS strategy, and we'll help you implement it, right? You start thinking like a billion-dollar brand. You're going to be able to cut your Klaviyo costs in half, double your clicks and conversions, save loads of time with the flows. We have 100+ flow, what do we call it? Roadmap for you guys to use, and you'll be able to scale with a reliable retention program. That's what we're going to give to you also. Bonus 3, you're going to get a custom 12-month email SMS retention roadmap that shows quarterly goals, monthly milestones that we're going to hit to help you hit that goal that we're projecting for you. With everything you need, and we talked about already, 12-month plan, either the abandoned funnel, our text message plan, our design lookbook, our A/B testing plan, AI for email avatars, things like that, all included within our plan. And finally, bonus number 4, we will implement it all for you, all done for you. All your design done, your copy done, your strategy done, your campaign planning done, your flows built, everything built out by our agency, because now we have a plan, we know what to hit, and you just sit back, right? You don't need to worry about it all, and you don't need to stress about the next campaign either, right? Because that's already covered, because we're also eyeing the big picture goal right there. I invite you to get started at highflyerdigital.com/book. You can scan the QR code here to get going. And that's going to be super helpful to you right there. Scan that code, go to highflyerdigital.com/book to get started. Again, to save time, I'm not going to go through every single review here, but clients are saying hands down the best email SMS retention audit we've ever had. We go really in depth. We had a level of expertise we simply lacked for this brand, this 8-figure brand that hired us. Email is now their fastest growing revenue stream. They used to be email is dead. Now it's their fastest growing. We took email to a level they never knew about. An 8-figure brand never knew about this potential level, and that's where we got them to. We doubled sales year over year, and that year is mind-blowing. We've outpaced growth from every single channel, even Amazon, and that's, again, why we're trusted by over 100+ retailers and brands worldwide. Time to stop winging it in 2026 and start winning it. 2026 is here. I know it's holidays, but by the time you get moving in January, it'll be February before you know it. And you'll be like looking back at your resolution and say, oh my God, I totally didn't even hit that goal. Now's the time to start planning it and get it done. It doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards execution. Click that link, highflyerdigital.com/book, scan the QR code, and let's get started making this your best year ever. Thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. This has been really a great webinar for all our brands, and I'm excited to share it out. I'll also distill it down into mini videos on our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn, so be sure to subscribe to those too. But scan the QR code, get it done for you instead of waiting another year to get momentum and not focusing on the big picture plan. Thank you for joining. I will see you on the next webinar.